Hi there, this is David and welcome to the job classes of Dragon Quest III Ranked. This game does hold a special place in my heart. I first got it in 4th grade after I broke my arm, and it's been one of my absolute favorites ever since. I also remember buying the Game Boy Color remake whenever I was in college, and I was thrilled to play it and enjoy the new content in the new class. Then, when the SNES version was finally translated, believe me, I was first in line to download and play that puppy. I'll also be using the NES nomenclature here because old habits really do die hard. So, let's look back at one of my favorite games of all time and rank some job classes from worst to first. Number 9, the Goof Off. The Goof Off is undoubtedly the worst class ever devised. Not only are they pretty much uncontrollable, but they actively do things to just completely screw you over. I remember whenever I was a kid, Nintendo Power used to have these little challenge cards in them, and the vast majority of those cards were for like action games. You would get things like getting high scores, and it was very rare to actually have one of those challenge cards for an RPG. But Dragon Warrior 3 got its own card, and the hardest challenge was to get the Thief's Key with 3 Goof Offs. And seriously, that right there should really tell you just how terrible this class is. However, there was a secret hidden thing with this crap-ass class, because you can turn it into a sage at level 20 without the Book of Satori at the Shrine of Dharma. But that's just not worth the suffering of having this useless bitch on your team. Number 8, the Merchant. The second shitty class that we're going to look at is the Merchant, and it's unfortunately the only class that you're required to use in order to complete the game. However, those on the inside know that it's just for a very short stint. Thank God. In the original game, the Merchant could only appraise items and also find a minuscule amount of gold after battle. But the dumb bastard has been improved the tiniest bit in Dragon Quest III with the addition of a few more unique weapons, as well as Call Shop, which, well, does exactly what you think it does. And then there's also the dig ability to find crummy items strewn about the world map. They're not as bad as the Goof Off, but they're still not worth wasting a slot on. Now, from this point on, we've left the crappy classes behind, and we're going to hit the mid-grade ones with number 7, the Wizard. In the original NES game, the Wizard would rank higher. However, in the remake, all the physical classes got boosted with better weapons and armor, whereas the magical classes pretty much just remained static. And in addition to that, many physical classes gained multi-targeting weapons, which is what the Wizard's niche used to be. The introduction of whips and boomerangs really took the poor Wizard down a notch. I mean, the ability to cast Fireball to clear out groups of randoms was superb, but with the addition of the Thief class, who can do the same thing for free, what's the point? And let's not forget that he's completely outclassed by the Sage too. It's really a shame what they did to the poor old guy. Number 6, the Soldier. When I was a kid, I loved the Soldier. He's your basic bare-bones brawler, the strong, slow, reliable tank. I would take a soldier, pilgrim, and a wizard, and that was pretty much the end of that. I mean, he is undoubtedly the best weapon and armor selection in the entire game, as well as massive HP growth and quick leveling gains. This guy is a brick shithouse able to survive anything thrown his way, especially after they gain magically defensive shields, as well as specialty weapons able to hit weaknesses or even inflict status ailments. I mean, you really can't go wrong with a soldier on your team, though I would say that there are better melee classes out there. Like number 5, the Thief. Originally, the Thief was not in the game. It was only added in the SNES remake, and while I do love the job, anytime that you add a class to a pre-existing game, you're going to upset the balance. And here is where the Wizard really suffered by the Thief's inclusion. If the Thief didn't exist, I would put the Wizard here at number 5, but que sera sera. The Thief can use both claws for single target damage, as well as whips for hitting groups of enemies. Not only that, but they're incredibly fast, so they can pull out any kind of utility items quickly, and they have the unique ability to steal items from enemies, giving you extra opportunities to get some of those rare drops. On top of all that, they also have specific spells which make traveling so much easier, and it even shows you where hidden items are in towns and dungeons. And now, it's really time to hit the high points with the best 4 classes in the game. Number 4, the Fighter. When I was a kid, I always thought that the Fighter was just kind of like a poor man's soldier. and I didn't understand why anyone would want to use them, considering they had such a poor equipment selection. But the true utility of the fighter is revealed in the remake, because the Golden Claw does not affect encounter rate anymore, and his equipment draw is increased with access to many of the unique thief equipments introduced. The main draw of the fighter, though, is their critical hit rate. It's just through the roof. It's more than double any of the other classes, and in this series where critical hit rates are so important for leveling up, having that advantage is just so worth it. Number 3. The Pilgrim. The Pilgrim basically has the stats of the Merchant, but it also has access to white magic with all the healing, as well as the super cheap and eternally useful group-hitting Inferno spells for attacking, and the instant death spells, and even the defense-lowering sap and decrease spells. You can tell that Enix was still trying to figure out what worked, because they gave wizards upper and increase, but in all the subsequent games, the spells were swapped. Having access to sap really does increase the utility of the Pilgrim even more, since it's just imperative during boss fights. And seriously, really, I mean, having a healer is just a no-brainer for such a long journey. And number 2, the Hero. Many of you might find it quite surprising to see that the ubiquitous Hero is only number 2, but keep in mind, the series was still finding its footing here, and it's not too overpowered yet. The Hero combines the best of both worlds with a soldier's equipment selection, healing and attack magic, as well as his own unique lineup of spells, along with high stat growths in every single area. To gild the lily, he even gets access to unique weaponry of his own. I mean, he is the main character of the game, and he's also able to solo it really if you wanted to. It's his great versatility that allows you to build up whatever team of classes that you want. Do you want a bunch of physical attackers? Okay, well then the Hero will just be the wizard and the healer. What about Bacardi casters? That's fine too, because the Hero will be there to tank. He covers every role. However, there is one class that's even more versatile than him. Number 1, the Sage. This is the only job that you can't select at Louise's Tavern at the beginning of the game. The only ways to promote into it are to either level up a Goof Off to level 20, or to find a Book of Satori in the Tower of Garuna, north of the shrine. After either of those prerequisites are filled, you can then become a Sage at the Shrine of Dharma. The job is well worth the effort though, because it will give you access to the ultimate caster in the game. With stat growths and equipment draws of the Pilgrim, but more importantly than that, they can cast every single Pilgrim and Wizard spell in the entire game. So you can afford to kind of put your casters onto the Sage and then make your other 2 characters physical fighters, since your Sage will have all of the casting covered. Whether you need healing, damaging, warping, buffing, or debuffing, the Sage has got it all, and that is why he's number 1. Well, that's it for the ranking of the job classes of Dragon Quest III. If you want to see more character and class ranking videos, I have tons of them in my top 10 playlist. How do you feel about the rankings? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video and wanted to hear on the channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon, heading on over to Twitch for some streaming, or joining the Discord to chat and hang out. The links to them can be found in the video description. This has been David. If you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.